Christmas, Friday reads, and mystery quiz, what I have been watching, 25 movies of Christmas update. Sorry for the weird angle, but I wanted to start out taking a mystery quiz again, which I will have linked down below in the description box, and you can find it there. And it's solve this pretend Disney princess murder mystery to prove you're a true sleuth. So I will move over to the bookshelves when I'm going to talk about other things, but start over here. So I don't know if this one, you find out what Disney princess you are by solving the mystery. It says Disney has a dark side. Let's just get into the quiz and find out. Okay, so a butler was killed in a castle. Beside the body are a cup of spilled water with a red lipstick mark, a bloody fork, and a phone. What do you do first? Investigate the phone for clues. Investigate the fork. Investigate the cup. Call for backup. I'm going to say call for backup because I want forensics people there to look at the red lipstick mark. And then maybe I would pick up the phone with gloves. I don't know. I think I would just call for backup. 4 princesses were in the castle. Cinderella, Snow White, Rapunzel, and Ariel. Who do you question? Ooh, who do I question? I mean, they got some baggage, but I think maybe Snow White has the most intense baggage, so I'm going to go with Snow White. None of the princesses want to talk yet. The victim's unlocked phone buzzes. What do you do? Read it. It may give me a lead. Take a quick peek at the notification without picking up the phone. Try to trick someone else into looking at the phone. Make a note about the phone so you can tell the police. Well, I mean, I'm questioning the princesses. I think I will read what's on the phone with gloves. You notice that the victim's phone background is a picture of him with Ariel and Rapunzel. That's suspicious. Why would he have a picture with them? Or Ariel and Rapunzel are kind of famous. They probably have pics with a lot of people. I'm going to say that's suspicious since it is someone who's dead after all. You ask Rapunzel if she knows the victim. She says no. What do you do? Confront her about lying? Don't worry about it. She may have forgotten him. Ask a different question. Ask her if she is sure. Ask her if she is sure. Still give her an opportunity to volunteer the truth. Ariel went to the restroom, but she left her purse behind. What's your next step? Grab the purse and look inside. Accidentally drop the purse so its contents spill out. Sneakily try to take a pic of the inside of the purse, or say you'll take the purse back to Ariel, but take a quick peek inside before you give it to her. I'm going to accidentally drop the purse so its contents spill out. Inside the purse, you notice a utensil set with a spoon and napkin, a notebook, and a locket. What draws your attention? The notebook. Dun dun dun. Like, what is written in the notebook? Ariel returns from the bathroom. What do you pay most attention to? How all the princesses act together. Ariel's body language. What Ariel says to other people. Don't get involved. I don't want to become a suspect myself. How all of the princesses act together. You suddenly notice that Rapunzel's lipstick is the same shade as the lipstick on the cup by the butler's body. What color is it? Cherry red, peach pink, midnight black, nude. Red? Now I'm going to scroll back. I'm pretty sure it was red. You notice there's red lipstick. I'm not going to give anything away to you. I scrolled back. Okay. Who do you think is the killer? Ariel, Rapunzel? Rapunzel framed Ariel, or Ariel framed Rapunzel? Well, the bright red lipstick on the cup does seem pretty obvious. So I'm going to say Rapunzel framed Ariel. I got it right, and I solved the murder mystery. You figured out the guilty culprit. Great job helping to deliver justice. Now that was interesting to me that I picked we should question Snow White and she wasn't guilty at all and I was still able to win the quiz. So I think you're able to pick the wrong answer sometimes and you can still get it right. So yes, I solved it. I got it right and solved the murder mystery. So I guess the object was just to solve the murder mystery. So here I am back at the bookshelves to talk about the books that I read this week for Cloak and Dagger Christmas, and then also for the Create Your Own Holiday Adventure readathon that's happening. And I posted a TBR for that as well. So these books will look familiar. And the first thing that I want to talk about is Noel Streatfeild's Christmas Stories. This was a read-aloud to Peter, except for the last couple of stories. I could tell he was not really paying attention. And then I said, you know, are you interested in these? And he's like, I liked some of them, but he wasn't really interested in the one that we were listening to. And I gotta say, it was a bit too quaint for me. It felt like a Hallmark movie, which obviously we know. I've really been enjoying these this month, but in short story format. So the endings felt extra sickeningly sweet, kind of. Just like, ooh, too much in such a little amount of time. They were all tied up with such a neat little bow. It was kind of like everyone was your wildest, biggest dreams come true. And so since it was in short story format, it was just too sweet for me. So yeah, a bit of a disappointment. It was still a 3-star read, but this book is so beautiful looking, and I just went in with really high expectations because of the reputation that Noel Streatfeild has. And unfortunately, it did not quite deliver for me, but it was fun, and I finished the last couple stories on my own. I'm happy that I read a book that I purchased last year. Happy to have done that. Now, I am reading aloud to Peter, a book that I'm very excited about. So this is The Box of Delights by John Masefield. This is the one that I did not know about this book before book 2, but I've heard a lot of UK people talk about this. So I think it's kind of a really well-loved children's classic. And I am only 2 chapters in, 2 chapters out of 12, and around 45 pages in. And how many pages are in this book altogether? 293. And I am really enjoying this. And I will say, I've talked before about the New York Review book paperback books, the quality of them, how I really like them, and equally the same with their hardbacks. This, I think they just do children's books in hardbacks. The paper is, like, the paper quality is just so soft, and it's so delightful, just as a physical book to hold and read. I'm really hopeful about this book, but I say that kind of cautiously because it is a plot-driven book, and what happens with me so much of the time with plot-driven novels is that I'm excited at the beginning, at the setup. I'm really enjoying his writing style, and then I get kind of bored about halfway through. I just lose interest. I would have rather have watched a movie of it. So I'm really hopeful right now, but I'm just worried, I guess, it will let me down, not because of anything in it, but just how I get bored with more plot-driven things. So far so good. The writing is extremely atmospheric. It's very haunting. This little boy named Kay, he meets these several strangers on a train, and they all know a lot more about him than any stranger should know about him. And it's snowing and very cozy inside the train, and it's really setting the atmosphere. It's like a very dark, haunting Christmas feel to it, and I really like it. It's really reminds me of The Wolves of Willoughby Chase, which is not set at Christmas, but the kind of darker atmosphere to it. And he is then at home, and just this whole trail of kind of unusual events is happening. So I'm here, the tension is there right now, and I'm really wanting to know what's going to happen next. It's so great not having any idea of what happens in the plot. So to continue on with this, I'm really looking forward to it and enjoying reading it with Peter, and he's liking it a lot so far. And I just noticed that it is reviewed on the back by C.S. Lewis. He says it is a unique work and will often be reread. The beauties, all the delights that keep on emerging from the box are so exquisite and quite unlike anything I have seen elsewhere. So yes, I will report back. It's going to be a couple weeks before I finish this. It takes me around 40 minutes of very pretty pacey reading aloud, and there's 12 of these chapters left. No, just kidding. There's 22 chapters. I don't know what on earth I'm talking about. How many chapters are in this? I just realized I was making stuff up. Okay, there are 12 chapters, but that's still over a week left because I'm not reading more than 1 chapter a day. I did used to read to Peter before bedtime, but now it's really sweet. My dad has started to, we were living with them for a little while, for a couple months, and in the time we were there, he started reading to Peter before bed at night. And then after we moved, he hadn't yet finished Redwall. And so I said to him, why don't you just call him on the phone and you can read to him over the phone? And then they've just continued to do that and read other books. So I really like that they have that tradition. So now I'm just reading in the afternoon, and I'm fine, doling out some of that time because they really both enjoy it. Then, so good. I started this just last Friday, so you saw me like right when I had started it. I was feeling very intimidated about the length. Dark Fire by C.J. Sansom. This is for the billiard prompt where I was continuing in a series. It had been over 2 years since I'd read out of the series, and now I am just so interested in reading more Tudor themed things. So more on that later. And I'm really, really just excited about this series. This was so gripping. It honestly, people, say, where was it? I saw, it's a 16th century thriller. Jasper Ford says, and I think that's such a great way to describe it. It was just such a crazy turn of events, and in this one, it was very interesting. I mentioned how there was the case that he's working on defending this girl who, it's just everything makes it look like she pushed this little boy into a well and killed him. And so he's working on that case, and she is going to be pressed, which was this terrible, terrible thing they would do. To try to get information out of someone if they wouldn't confess. They would literally press their body and add more weight each day. And if you didn't say anything, eventually you would be crushed to death. It's just so gruesome. So he gets to put that off. Thomas Cromwell makes a deal with him. He's like, I want you to find this dark fire. I promised, the king that I would bring him this dark fire. I saw this dark fire. And so I will buy her some time. You have, 12 days. And in that time, you better find the dark fire for me. And she won't be hanged in the meantime or pressed. So it's really a race against the odds. And what I love about this is it's just such a rich story. It has the case in this, yes, but there's so much commentary on class and religion and how much, the church is involved within the government. And kind of racism at the time because there are characters that don't look like everyone else there. And it's really interesting to see how they're treated differently. But it feels very organic. It doesn't feel contrived, unlike another book that I'll talk about in a moment. It just works so well. So I gave this 5 stars. I loved it. I don't know why I've waited so long to continue in this series. I think it's the length of them that is daunting to me. So I found it really nice to pair this with an audiobook and kind of get over the hump with the audiobook, and then I can read faster in the physical book. I'm really, really excited about this series and glad to continue. And also, I think there are only 7 in the series out so far, so it doesn't feel as intimidating to keep reading the series. I won't be so far behind, but I also don't want to run out of them. So it's this fine line I have to balance. Then I read the Kissing Christmas Goodbye by MC Beaton. This is in the Agatha Raisin series. It's the 18th Agatha Raisin, and I read this for the kitchen prompt for Cloak and Dagger Christmas. So now I have achieved amateur sleuth level because I've done billiard, kitchen, and hall. So I'm hoping to get all the way to Sherlock Holmes level, but we are kind of a week and a half into Cloak and Dagger Christmas. We're going to see if I'm able to do that. I'm still hoping and planning to. So this was, if I've read 18 of these, that I really like this series. It's easy breezy. It was fun because it had some Christmassy things in there. And it was really funny because I was listening to the audiobook while I was cooking, and my husband came in the kitchen and he overhears some of the things where Agatha is blackmailing someone, and she wants them to do something for her, to write an article about something. And so she says, I remember this situation I found you in. And so my husband listened and he said, did she just blackmail her? I was like, yep, like that's Agatha Raisin. So she is extremely flawed, but it's just such a funny, sharp, witty series. I just think it's just wonderful. I love it so much. Really looking forward to continuing on with that series as always, and the audiobooks are just such a delight. Then I started, and hopefully this weekend I will finish, It's a not very exciting cover to show you this ugly, like, large print edition I have from the library. So I will put a nice picture up to talk about it. This is Black Amber by Phyllis Whitney. I'm doing this as a buddy read with the lovely Bree Hill. She's on Bookstagram as Falling for Romance, and we have on and off again been reading some Phyllis Whitney together over the past couple of years, and it's always such a treat to read with her. This, I would say, is a more middling Phyllis Whitney. Our main character of Tracy travels to Istanbul, where her sister lived and was married for many years. She hasn't seen her sister in person in a long, long time. And she had a frantic phone call from her sister where her sister said, you know, you have to come help me. You have to help me. You have no idea how dangerous he is. And the Black Amber. And she doesn't give more details than that. And then the phone call is dropped. And so she goes undercover because her sister was married to an author and an artist. And she is going under the ruse of helping him organize, you know, all the documents for his next project that he's doing. And he does not know that she is Annabelle, was his former wife. She does not know that Tracy is Annabelle's sister. So it's just a little bit draggy for me. Like I said, it's a middling one. It's not that I would say I'm not enjoying it. It's just I know how much I have really enjoyed some Phyllis Whitney. The setting is really beautiful to see. Istanbul, you know, see in my mind's eye. And Bree shared a picture of, you know, Istanbul at the time, what it would have looked like then. And it is incredibly beautiful. So yes, I have, how much do I have left of this? Let's see for you. 325, 140 pages left. I think that's right. So that should be an easy thing to finish up because I find with the large print, it really does urge me on and it's easy to feel like I'm making quick progress as I read it. So it doesn't feel a daunting read, even though it's only a middling kind of read. Then I have two books that I am currently reading in addition to that. So I am reading The Christmas Wish by Tilly Tennant. This was for one of my prompts for Create Your Own Holiday Adventure. And this is also a group read for the Bitter Single Ladies Read Romance event hosted by Rainey from Rainy Day Reads and Angie from Literary Labors. They're going to have a live show on the 20th of December to discuss this. Now, I am enjoying this. It feels very much like a Hallmark movie, which we know this year I'm surprised at how much I'm loving Hallmark. I thought I would like it, but just now really just diving in. I'm here for it. But my issue is that I think this is a reason why I gravitate towards mysteries more than romance, is that a lot of, and this has happened in other romances that I've read, pure romances, a lot of the plot is spent on wondering, do they like me or don't they like me? And really analyzing the, you know, each romantic lead analyzing the other character's feelings. And I just get bored with that. It's just so much about, oh, wow, they made this face, but I can't tell. Does that mean they like me? And in mysteries, it's like, oh, they made this face. Does that mean they killed so-and-so? And to me, that pulls me in so much more. So I think I'm not ever going to be a hardcore romance reader. I find the plot really interesting. I'm really facepalming at our main character, Esme, at some of the life choices that she makes. But it is a fun departure from kind of the typical thing that I read in December, which are mysteries. And I really am motivated to read it because of the discussion that will be happening with Rainey and Angie. So yes, it's fun, but I'm finding myself kind of not, what do I want to say? Just a little bit like, oh, we're spending so much time thinking about their feelings. Can we just move on? It's the attention device that is used in romances, and I don't have time for it. But I do like her writing, and I know she's doing what people like in romances. So I'm just not the 100% right candidate for it. And then I'm also reading 12 Days at Bleakly Manor. This I'm really enjoying. I'm reading this for the dining room prompt of Cloak and Dagger Christmas, which is a closed circle mystery, and it's really good. I was really going in blind. I hadn't read anything by this author. I didn't know much about it and was kind of nervous because I've had 3 or 4 DNFs for Cloak and Dagger Christmas, and I'm loving it. So I only have about 2 hours left of audiobook. It is a bit contrived in that there's one character who used to be engaged to another character and they end up at the same manor house. What are the chances? But since I am, a hardcore mystery reader, I don't mind that trope. Whereas, maybe romance tropes would more like the tension I was talking about. That is hard for me to deal with for mysteries. I'm just so like hardcore mystery reader. I'm like, okay, I'll just run with it. I'll go with it. And it's set in the Victorian era, which is very fun and atmospheric. Yes. So I could have done a golden age to like check off also the lounge prompt, but I kind of want to do one book for each prompt. I'm enjoying kind of the rhythm of that. And yeah, so it's super fun. It's Christmassy. There's talk about Christmas decorating, Christmas events. And I just love this group of strangers all coming together at a place and celebrating Christmas. And there may be some, scheming afoot. So yes, it's a lot of fun. Okay. Holo Pox by Jessica Townsend. I have complex thoughts about this. But I want to keep this short because I see I'm already at 22 minutes. The plot in here is wonderful. I really like how she writes. However, the virtue signaling in this is really getting to me. And what kills me is that people talk about moralizing in Victorian novels, and moralizing is the Victorian version of virtue signaling, and I never really hear the same people that talk about Victorian novels moralizing never complain about modern books that virtue signal, because it's the modern day values and maybe they don't see that it's being pushed here. But I do not want to be preached at when I read a middle grade children's fantasy. Like, I want to be preached at in church or I want to be preached at when I'm reading nonfiction, about a really hard-hitting issue, something like that. This is not the time or the place, and it just feels very thinly veiled symbolism for today, and I want an escape. So yeah, I'm pretty annoyed at that it just feels very preachy, and like some people will read this and be like, it's very timely, and I'm like, don't hit me over the head with what you think are the issues in modern day society. Just give me a fun story. That's what I wanted out of this. So yes, it's been a very mixed reading experience because it is a really exciting story, but there's a big chunk of the middle that was just really sour for me by being like, I get the thinly veiled symbolism you're doing here. Like, I'm really picking up what you're putting it down. You don't have to hit me over the head with it. Passing commentary here and there, you know what I mean? If you've read this, you will know, but it's kind of spoilery, so I don't know. We can chat in the comments if you have felt the same way. If you have also picked up on that. Okay, moving on. I don't even know what I'm going to rate it on Goodreads. I might just not rate it. Okay, did I mention everything? I did. Okay, to the movies. Now to the movies. I really, like I said, was not expecting to be such a Hallmark movie junkie this Christmas. But yeah, I just find it so comforting, and it's so nice to just watch people being happy during Christmas. And they are not much of a time commitment also. It's really easy to watch one, fit one in, squeeze one in, even in a busy day. Okay, one I actually forgot to talk about last time, and I think it's my favorite that I've watched out of all the Hallmark movies. And yeah, so it's With Love Christmas, and this is kind of like, what do I want? They basically, at this company, they all have a secret Santa. And there's one guy who doesn't like Christmas, which is one of the Hallmark tropes. And then the woman who gets paired with to be his secret Santa loves Christmas. And he starts really opening up to her and talking about why he doesn't love Christmas. But the main thing about this that really clinched it for me was I love the guy who played the male lead, who's the guy who doesn't like Christmas. And I loved the actress who played the female lead. Just those two leads, their chemistry really, I really enjoyed this one a lot. Something about it, I don't know, it was fast moving. It had a lot of elements in it that I really enjoyed. And yes, so I think it was just, if there's chemistry between the two lead actors, it will make me a lot more likely to love a Hallmark movie. Then I watched with my boys the Muppets Christmas Carol. It was very fun because we watched this on the night we put up the tree, or rather, that was a whole saga. We tried to put up the tree. we decided we were going to save money and go with our fake Christmas tree one more year, which it's a little, really little tree. I am taller than it. And then we realized when we moved, we had lost some of the parts. So then my husband tried to drill a hole in the bottom to make it just go on the real tree Christmas stand. And it was like this on the stand. We were all like, if we look like this, it'll look straight. So then we went to a Christmas tree lot to get a Christmas tree. It was beautiful. We brought it home and the real Christmas tree was like this. So then we realized that the top of the Christmas tree is like this, but then the trunk at the bottom was like that. So it wasn't the fault of the Christmas tree stand. So we did get it up eventually, but we all love the Muppets Christmas Carol, and it just never fails to bring a smile to my face. So many good scenes, so many funny lines. It's so fun to see it, passing down with multiple generations. The boys were laughing. Then I watched The Princess Switched Again, which is one of the laziest titles. It's like the same thing as the title and then the same thing again, or it's also just weird they wouldn't just do The Princess Switched 2. They would just have a really repetitive title, but this was just as ridiculous as I thought it was going to be, and I loved it so much. It was just a lovely escape. Like I said, I love Vanessa Hudgens. I will enjoy pretty much anything she is in, which I find kind of weird that regardless of what the plot is, I happen to enjoy what she's in. I don't know what it is, but it's just kind of magical. And Prince Andrew is definitely my favorite out of the leading men. I really like the character of Kevin also, but I find myself pretty swoony about Prince Andrew, I'm not gonna lie. And yes, if you had a really hard time making it through The Princess Switch, I would not watch this one. Then I watched The Christmas Miracle of Jonathan Toomey, which is a movie adaptation of the picture book. I don't have really wonderful things to say about this. I didn't think it was awful. I'm not like, it was so bad that there wasn't anything with the acting that I was especially cringy about. I think it was just really hard to turn that picture book into a full feature-length movie. And also they added extra stuff to build on it, and it just made it too sad for me. Like the book, if you've read the book has some really sad things in it to begin with. So it felt kind of like overkill to then add these extra sad things into it to do with the war. And they make it very present tense that his father has died, the little boy Thomas, whereas it's clearly in the past in the book. And it felt kind of weird to have the widow, like just a couple months into her widowhood, meeting Jonathan Toomey and starting to fall in love with him. It just felt really new and fresh. So I felt like they should have done flashbacks, and then it would have seemed like, I just don't think a lot of people would be up for falling in love very soon, just months after their spouse has passed away. Not that I thought it was, wrong, or I felt conflicted like that. I just think a lot of people are still healing in that time, so it felt a bit rushed. And it didn't feel Christmassy enough. So as far as like a period drama goes, it was middling, but it wasn't nearly as Christmassy as I was hoping. Then I watched 12 Days of Tudor Christmas. This is a documentary with Lucy Worsley, the great Lucy Worsley, and she goes through how the Tudors celebrated. They did the actual 12 days of Christmas, and they had specific things that they did for each day. It was really interesting to me. Some things I know about, as far as being part of church history, I didn't realize that the Tudors then had a whole day of Christmas. The Coventry Carol, which is a carol about, it's very, very harrowing. It's about Herod slaughtering innocent babies in an effort to make sure that, the promised Messiah was slaughtered. All little boys 2 years and younger were killed. And so it would have been, I think, around between 40 to 50 babies in the village of Bethlehem, just murdered brutally. And so there's a whole carol about that, and it's really beautiful, but it's very haunting. And the Tudors had a day to kind of honor the infants, and it also turned into a time, because infant mortality was so high, that mothers and fathers could really grieve their children. So some sober things in there, but also the Tudors really like to party. So like I said, reading the Matthew Shardlake, And then watching this documentary, I want to have some more Tudor content in my reading and my watching. I have one episode left of Victorian Farm, and after that I want to watch Tudor Farm, because that will just be so much fun. And then I watched Going My Way with Bing Crosby. This was a very cozy, comforting movie, but I did get a little bit bored. It just felt a little bit slow, more songs than to my liking. So it was fine, but I didn't love it. Like I said, it was very cozy and comforting. But the one that I watched, first time I watched it, I hadn't heard of it until a subscriber messaged me. So thank you so much for giving me such a fun afternoon. And that was We're No Angels. This has Humphrey Bogart in it, which is the first thing I've seen him in besides Casablanca. And he and two other guys have broken out of prison. They are all, they have served time and they've broken out early, and they're going to catch a boat. They're on an island, which I can't remember the name of the island, but they're on a boat and they're going to take a ship to get out of the island. But first they need money, so they're going to rob a store owner. But then they say they're going to work on the roof, but they really kind of want to case the joint and see exactly what their plan will be that night when they're planning on robbing him. And they start seeing observations between the family, and their hard hearts are totally softened, and they decide they want to help the family. It has a lot of comedy to it. It has some Christmas elements to it, so I do think it makes sense. It's a Christmas movie, and it was just so fun. It was really funny. My favorite out of the three guys, the three prisoners, was the British gentleman safecracker. Yeah, it was great. It was a really fun one, so definitely one I'll be rewatching in the future. Then I watched Sensibility and Snowmen, and then also I'll just talk about Pride, Prejudice, and Mistletoe. I want to give a disclaimer. They basically take the characters' names from the Jane Austen books, and then the plots really basically have nothing to do with it. They took a couple elements to make a catchy title, and that was about it. Sensibility and Snowmen has Erin Krakow in it, and I know her from When Calls the Heart. She's wonderful as a leading lady. I really loved the dynamic between the sisters in this. And this was my first Luke Macfarlane Hallmark movie. Apparently he is in a lot of them, and it was a really fun one. Very stereotypical, there's a big Christmas event that's going to happen. Luke Macfarlane is the un-Christmassy business executive, and she melts his heart, and it was a lot of fun. And then Pride, Prejudice, and Mistletoe, big Christmas event happening. It's more, she doesn't know what she wants, and he is really driven to do what he loves, and he is a chef. And she comes back home to celebrate Christmas. She hasn't been home for a little while. And Lacey Chabert, I had only seen her in Mean Girls. She is so endearing as a leading lady. She's just cute as a button. She has such a sweet voice. And it was really fun to watch her. I really, really enjoyed that one. Hallmark movies are so predictable, but it's like a Mary Stewart book or Rosamund Pilcher. Like, if it's a kind of predictable that you like, it doesn't bother you. And then I watched It's a Wonderful Life. I watched this with my friends Becky and Bethany. Bethany had never seen it, and it was just so much fun to watch it with them and just share what an amazing movie this is. I cry so much during this movie. There's so many good lines. It's not actually, we were discussing it, it's not actually all that Christmassy. Like, it ends at Christmas time, but I associate it with Christmas so much, so it works. And yeah, just one I will never tire of. Jimmy Stewart's the best. So that is it's turning into a really long Friday Reads again, but I have a bunch of things that I discuss in these, so hopefully you don't mind. And I am still way pumped and excited for Cloak and Dagger Christmas. I am going to get to that Sherlock Holmes level, if it's the last thing I do. I still have The Birds to read, and I'm very excited, especially from the reaction that Janelle had when she read it, and then Kate from the novel Nomad. This is her second. She was willing to read it a second time after reading it last year. It is only 40 pages, so it's not a huge commitment, and I have it checked out through the library on my phone, so really easy to read. I could even just read it in bed, laying over on my side on my phone. Yeah, so really happy to be celebrating Cloak and Dagger Christmas with all of you, and I am planning on doing one more Cloak and Dagger Christmas social before the month is out. And tomorrow I'm so excited because we will be watching our Cloak and Dagger Christmas group watch along, our group watch of Agatha and the Truth of the Murder. And you're welcome to join us. We'll be watching it Saturday evening for the US, late afternoon, early evening, Pacific Standard Time people, and then mid-morning for Australia. So it's going to be a global event, and we're really looking forward to it. So let me know if you would like to be added to the Instagram chat group, and I will do so. I'm going to cut it off now before this gets even longer. Happy Cloak and Dagger Christmas, everyone, and I will be back for another video soon.